And we have once again nominated for president the founding father of the America First movement, Donald John Trump. For far too long, the establishment in Washington has sold us out. They promised unity and delivered division. They promised peace and brought war. They promised normalcy and gave us Transgender Visibility Day on Easter Sunday.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Marge the Trainwreck Green was speaking at the Republican National Convention Monday night as one of the undercards. Yep, that's right. She's a warm-up act to the real fluffers of the night.
And let me state this clearly. There are only two genders.
It was the first day of a 3-day convention, and it goes to show how far Marge has fallen within her own party that she couldn't even get a primetime slot. It's like the RNC stuck her out in front of a cornfield like a scarecrow on a pole to frighten away anyone who isn't loyal to he that walks behind the rows. It was a literal Children of the Corn moment.
They claim that our economy is thriving, yet hundreds of thousands of American-born workers lost their jobs these past few years.
Daniel?
American-born workers have gained millions of jobs under President Biden, 4.7 million jobs over the 3 years between June 2021 and June 2024. Now, I'll call this claim misleading at best rather than false, because it is possible that within this group there are particular hundreds of thousands of workers who did lose their jobs, but Congresswoman Green created the impression that this group of workers has lost jobs on the whole, and that's not even close to true.
She started squawking about the Dems promising us normalcy, but giving us Trans Visibility Day on Easter Sunday, while giving a practiced scowl.
Donald Trump has, and he will, make America successful again. And as God as my witness, he will finally give us the country we deserve.
Good Lord. She almost gave herself goosebumps and grew horns trying to channel all that hatred in the name of God. She claims Christianity, but supports a low-life criminal who's taken the 10 Commandments as a personal challenge to break daily. Could you imagine Marge the Trainwreck Green and Donald Trump trying to talk to Jesus and get a healing? Marge would probably ask for her oversized 3 toes to fit into a pair of shoes normally. And then you have Donald Trump next to her with a maxi pad on his ear asking for unity. But that's another rabbit hole.
The U word that they seem to be rolling out, that unity is what we need in face of what happened on Saturday with regard to President Trump. Now, we were saying, we don't want to unite with people who want to kill us, people who want to indoctrinate our children and turn them against us, people who want our movement basically quashed, done, thrown in prisons, throw away the keys.
You know, I remember when Joe Biden took office, he came out with this unity message, unify, unity. And then the Democrats proceeded to rip our borders wide open and actually create an illegal invasion into our country that's murdering Americans every single day.
A while back, Marge was on Donald Trump's shortlist for his highly coveted VP slot. A lot of people expected that Donald Trump would actually consider giving that ignorant Jacqueline a shot, but he probably realized that she wants money and power too. Maybe Donald thought that if he put her second in line, she might try to do him in herself. Good God. Could you imagine seeing that troglodyte bringing you coffee every morning with that evil grin and under her breath soft cackle, thinking that she was going to poison you or something? Donald Trump may actually be worried about Marge. Who knows if it's that or just the simple fact that he hates hillbillies. Trump seems to be distancing himself from her in favor of the author of a book called Hillbilly Elegy, a combination of words that he probably couldn't get out of his mouth in a single slur. J.D. Vance? Yep. Donald has picked the Ohio eyeliner king to be his vice presidential running mate, leaving Marge on the outside looking in. Despite being on the outs, Marge has been doubling down in her delusion.
If it had been Joe Biden that there was an assassination attempt on, Do you think there would be calls for unity? What do you think the response would be?
Oh, I know. We know what would happen, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope there's a lot of people on the left watching this. You people would have been out in the streets, burning down cities like you did the entire summer of 2020, looting stores, destroying businesses, attacking police officers, absolutely attacking federal courthouses. You would be fighting us, murdering us in the streets if that had happened.
According to Marge, Dems would be murdering Republicans in the streets if Biden got shot. During a segment on War Room, guest host Natalie Winters interviewed Green while regular host Steve Bannon was in prison. Green claimed Democrats did not want unity following the assassination attempt on the former President Donald Trump. Remember that Marge likes to play the victim and the hero at the same time. It's a common go-to tactic for her and some of the extremist colleagues. Marge had apparently tweeted something from the Stone Age tablet about separating the country between red states and blue states. It's a classic divide and conquer strategy aimed at putting entire groups of people against each other in an escalation of violence. There's nothing peaceful about the Republican agenda. They are the ones creating chaos on the border, in our classrooms, and in our legislative bodies. The 118th Congress hasn't done jack squat, and here she is acting like they are so busy with the work of the American people. It's ironic that Donald Trump would pick J.D. Vance over Marge the Trainwreck Green, just like Jink was talking about. Donald Trump doesn't like poor people. He looks down on the average person as inferior to him. J.D. Vance is intelligent despite being a spineless worm and a Trump sycophant. But that's who Trump picks over Marge. On top of that, she's an opening act and not in the main attraction. I think Marge is operating out of a little bit of butt hurt. It's eating her up inside, and she deserves every bit of humiliation that she gets. When Donald Trump thinks you're stupid, you must be a special kind of dumb. Kind of like MAGA dumb. MAGA is all about trampling over each other and stabbing each other in the back to get close enough to smell Donald Trump's nasty aroma. But J.D. Vance gets the pick, the last I heard. Mike Pence called to congratulate J.D. Pence and told him to hang in there. Yeah, J.D., hang in there. Don't cross Donald or he'll have his followers come after you. Don't forget that you're expendable either. And Marge is waiting in the wings, hoping that you'll fail. Good God, the RNC is just a trash TV episode with a bunch of undereducated Christo-fascist numbskulls worshiping a guy with a maxi pad on his ear. Or was it a mini My Pillow? Whatever it was pathetic. Just like Marge the Trainwreck Green and the Republican Party. What a joke. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
I really like this chart. As a matter of fact, it's become one of my favorite charts because not only does it speak to the truth of the serious daily and yearly border invasion into our country, this chart also saved President Trump's life when he was almost assassinated in a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, when a would-be assassin fired at President Trump, bullets flying into the crowd, killing Corey Comprator, but also grazing President Trump's ear as he turned his head to look at this chart and inform the American people about the invasion our country has been under. But the American people are suffering it every single day.
I want to ensure that data in this committee is used accurately and portrayed accurately. And I want to talk about Donald Trump's favorite chart here, which we used yesterday. In this chart, titled Illegal Immigration into the U.S., Biden's world record illegal immigrants, many from prisons and mental institutions, also terrorists, Donald Trump has said this chart saved his life. And yesterday, in our full committee hearing, Republicans, my colleagues here, repeatedly used this chart to allege that the Biden administration has an open border policy. But this life-saving chart says, well, not what Republicans think it says.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and America is at a breaking point, facing a full-on assault from extremists bent on tearing down our democracy. And at the center of this fight stands Delia Ramirez. She's not just presenting facts, she's delivering a reality check to the MAGA movement.
First of all, I don't know where the Trumpsters and Republicans of the world who like to trot out this chart get the idea that immigration into the United States is a, quote, world record, unquote, because recorded history is full of mass migration due to wars, due to famine, to disease. Secondly, And it's almost embarrassing that I have to educate and explain to members of Congress and a former president. But when someone says that they're seeking asylum and they're coming to the United States seeking asylum, that doesn't mean that they're literally coming from a mental institution. Third, Republicans and former President Trump, they don't even know when Trump left office. This chart says that he left April 2020. Trump actually left office in January of 2021 when the numbers were rising and higher, actually even higher than during Obama's second term.
Recently, in the House of Homeland Security Committee, she exposed their deception with the precision and intensity we'd love to see in courtrooms across the country.
We can carry on and talk about the other outrageous thing that helps maybe you feel peaceful at night as you and your wife walk along. People aren't coming across maybe on your land because they're able to go to ports of entry. Another way they're able to get into our country is by flying in from other countries. 530,000 inadmissible aliens have flown directly into U.S. airports. Maybe that's why you don't see a giant flow across your land.
Let's get one thing straight. These MAGA charades about border security and protecting America are nothing but distractions. For years, we've watched people like Marge the Trainwreck Green use the Homeland Security Committee as her personal stage for lies, conspiracy theories, and hollow impeachment stunts. Green has been out to impeach Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, not because she has a shred of evidence, but because she's addicted to the spotlight. She doesn't care about facts. She only cares about feeding the MAGA machine with whatever keeps the donations rolling in. She's fleecing the undereducated, keeping them riled up and reaching into their pockets, all for her own gain and Trump's twisted agenda. But then Ramirez came in, bringing receipts and demanding accountability. She took MAGA's favorite chart, the one they constantly point to as proof of Biden's open borders, and tore it apart.
Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues choose to use our committee time to spew false narratives, conspiracy theories, and racist tropes that point as immigrants as terrorists. Immigrants, like my mother and my husband, as terrorists, just to score cheap political points. So, look, we should be using this committee to actually discuss how we strengthen the federal government's ability to prevent and respond to terrorist threats by digging into the data and digging into the evidence. Folks, facts matter. We have to stop with the disinformation. But I guess when it comes to making charts for the former president, that doesn't apply. And I'm going to tell you, this committee is a serious committee. We have to use facts.
Ramirez laid out the truth. Economic conditions drive migration, not some fictional open border policy. The facts she presented showed just how deeply the GOP lies run, and she made it clear that truth still matters in this country, even if it doesn't matter to MAGA. What's especially alarming is Project 2025, the GOP's so-called blueprint for America. This is no ordinary policy proposal. It's a direct threat to our democracy. If Republicans get their way, they'll gut the Department of Homeland Security and other key agencies, leaving us vulnerable to threats both foreign and domestic. And they'll fire over 1 million federal workers, stripping away the people who keep this country safe. Under Project 2025, we're looking at a future where the agencies responsible for protecting Americans are gutted to serve an extremist agenda. Imagine an America where border raids happen in schools, hospitals, and churches, where families are ripped apart on MAGA's orders, and there's no one left in Homeland Security to do a thing about it. This isn't about protecting Americans, it's about pushing a warped version where fear and hate rule. Ramirez gets that. And yet, while Delia Ramirez is fighting to protect democracy, Marge the Trainwreck Green and her MAGA colleagues are dragging this country into the gutter. Every time Green pushes another baseless impeachment, every time she wastes taxpayer money on empty gestures, she's turning Homeland Security into a farce. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. She's turning crucial time and resources away, basically from real issues, all so she can score political points and keep her followers sending in cash. And the saddest part, her supporters keep buying it. MAGA is a machine that runs on lies, and Green is one of the biggest cheerleaders. They've conned millions into believing they're defending America, but all they're defending is their own power and bank accounts. They're selling out the very democracy they claim to protect, all while laughing at the people that they've duped. Ramirez, however, is giving us a glimpse of what real leadership looks like. She's demanding that the truth be heard over MAGA's deafening disinformation campaign. She's not afraid to call them out, to expose their empty rhetoric and show the country what they're really after: a government dismantled to serve a con man's vision. The stakes are as high as they've ever been. We're not just talking about policy disagreements here. We're talking about a fundamental fight for the soul of this nation. Project 2025 is an extremist manifesto designed to dismantle our government, rip apart our communities, and force fear down our throats. And people like Dalia Ramirez are all that stand between this country and that dark future. It's time to make these leaders, these self-serving frauds, answer for what they've done to this country. It's time they face the same smackdown we saw with Tina Peters. A judgment that says enough. Enough of the lies, enough of the scams, enough of twisting democracy to serve their agenda. America deserves better. And with leaders like Ramirez, we just might have a fighting chance to make it happen. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.